One of the things that many people struggle with is the way they appear when they're on stage, and perhaps habits, nerves, whatever it might be, that will perhaps distract or undermine the message that you're trying to share. So I'm just going to share a few of the main areas that I find people tend to make mistakes in, and hopefully give you some ideas on how you can avoid these for the future. Let's start off with perhaps the most common, filler words. The 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 you know, well, like, maybe, you know, it might, you know, We've all been there, we've all done it, we've all heard them. We use them in day-to-day conversation. In some respects, we do it so that people don't interrupt us. If we don't leave a space, we fill a space with saying or you know, and then go straight into the next bit. It prevents anybody else interrupting us. And so we sort of build these habits. We also perhaps worry about the sound of silence. But in a presentation, a pause, a sound of silence, is a good thing. The best thing to do when you feel yourself about to say that that is to take a breath. It's good for you. Taking a deep breath is really good for calming the nerves. Secondly, you've probably just made a point. Taking a breath allows your audience to reflect on the point you've just made. It also allows you to just frame the next bit of what you're going to say well. And a pause gives shape and dynamics to what you're saying as well, rather than just being a continual rush of words. It's not easy to do. Believe me, I still fall into the trap of saying in between sentences, of bridging my sentences together with a filler word. The best way I found to help myself with this is what actually many of us are having to do far more of at the moment, which is record presentations and watch it back myself. And then I see myself doing it, because so often we're not even conscious of doing this ourselves. So the best advice I can give is record yourself and watch yourself. It's amazing how much you'll learn about your presentation style. But this is the key one. Replace a filler word with a deep breath and a pause. It will help your nerves, it'll allow your audience to reflect on what you're saying, and it will give shape to your presentation. The next one is hands in pockets. Particularly men, this is a trait that we tend to fall into more, and having hands in pockets and fiddling is never a good look. So avoid the hands in pockets when standing in front of an audience that can see your hands in your pockets. Having said that, when presenting in front of a camera, and perhaps the way you're presenting and the way you set it up, that your hands could become a distraction because they'll appear in and out of the frame, sort of like that as you perhaps go to use your hands to make a point. Sometimes putting your hands in your pockets in that context can prevent you waving them around too much. I love using my hands to make points, to bring my presentation style to life when I'm on a stage. What I've discovered when I'm on camera is it doesn't work so well. They tend to come in and out of shot and can end up being a distraction. Along with hands in pockets, something that will often draw you to that is because you've got something like keys or coins or something else in your pockets, and so you start fiddling with those. So a basic tip I would give as well is make sure before you come on stage that you've got nothing in your pockets. That means A, they won't make any sounds that could distract or pick up on a microphone, and B, you're less likely to fiddle with them and be a distraction therefore. So empty your pockets before coming on stage. That's something I always make sure that I do. Another thing is mobile phones. We all have a tendency to, if we have a mobile phone within eye line, to be distracted by it. You know, oh, a WhatsApp's just come in. Oh, somebody's just messaged me on Facebook. Oh, somebody's just liked my picture on Instagram. So I would recommend not having your mobile phone anywhere near you, if you do need it because perhaps you've got notes on it or whatever, and it was the only way you could do that, put it into flight mode so it's less likely to get interruptions. But I would avoid using technology for my notes, for my prompt. I would really recommend using paper, cue cards, something like that, which I can hold in one hand. Cue cards, A6 postcards are really good. They're stiff enough that they can be held in one hand without sort of flapping around. So don't use technology. It has a nasty habit of going into standby mode or something like that just as you're halfway through your presentation. That, and we just have a tendency to fiddle with mobile phones. So put your mobile phone away, leave it in your bag. Don't have it up on stage with you when you're presenting. So there's a few tips. Things to make sure you don't distract or undermine your presentation, that you can make sure that you don't use filler words, use a breath instead. Avoid hands in pockets, particularly on stage. Don't have things in your pockets anyway, even if you do want to perhaps put your hands in your pockets, but don't have things in your pockets to fiddle with. And don't have your mobile phone with you, which will inevitably be a distraction. And if you're using it for the tech to prompt you, will inevitably fail just at the moment you most need it. So a few ways to avoid distractions, a few ways to perhaps ease some of those nerves as well.